Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cottonwood Heights, Utah. Thanks to my man Mike J, the King of Pop, for providing us with that intro music. Now, as I said, this is Cottonwood Heights. Here's I-215. If you're ever looking for a good place to hit the links, Old Mill Golf Course. Throw in a polo, go whack some balls around. You'll have a great time. Now, I'm not here today to talk about golf, but rather hydrology. My name is Aaron Meyer. Some of you might not be aware I'm in this class, but here I am, coming to you via video. Now this colored portion of the map you can see is the watershed that I delineated. The point of analysis down here is in Old Mill Park. It's about 150 acres in total and was delineated using stream stats. Now once it was delineated, I needed to further delineate it into subbasins, which was done primarily using topography, as there are these three channels that all flow into this main channel, making it easy to delineate these separate subbasins here. Once those four main subbasins were delineated, they were further divided by soil type and land use data. And once these subbasins were delineated, they were put into a modeling program called HEC-HMS. Not sure if you guys are familiar with HEC-HMS, but it's really smooth sailing, no glitches, never corrupts any files or anything like that. Mickey, excuse me. But regardless, it does do a good job of analyzing a watershed with respect to a design storm. So two models were built for this project. One was the current watershed, representing the soil types and land use that are currently found in the watershed that we were analyzing. And one is a post-development watershed analysis where the entire watershed is assumed to have been developed. The parameters for both of these models are seen here. Curve number, percent imperviousness, lag time, those are the important ones, as well as the initial abstractions related to the curve number. Now, the nice thing about having these two different models is being able to compare how the effects of curve numbers and percent imperviousness especially affect the peak discharge as well as the infiltration loss due to a design storm. So one interesting thing to look at is how much they're changing. So if we look at subbasin 4 here, we have a curve number of 63, percent imperviousness of 59 before development. And if we go to the hydrographs for subbasin 4, you can see for the 1 year storm, we're getting a little over 4 CFS for peak discharge, as opposed to the post-development, we're getting just a little bit over 6, so not even double the peak discharge. Whereas if we go back and take a look at subbasin 5, there's a much bigger difference. The percent imperviousness is only 26%, a smaller curve number before development, and that gets bumped way up once we pave over everything in post-development. So if we go and look at the hydrographs for subbasin 5, you can see peak flow of about 3.5 CFS and an infiltration loss of almost 1 inch. And we compare that to the post-development hydrograph, and you can see we're more than triple at about 13 CFS of peak discharge, and the infiltration loss is way down around 0.08, and that's tenfold less than the infiltration loss pre-development. So what's the point of this other than being able to analyze the watershed as we have? Well, we can design a detention basin that regulates that larger amount of peak flow coming out of the point of analysis and makes it more like what it was pre-development. So as you can see here, a detention basin's been put into the HEC-HMS model. The goal is to regulate that higher 140 CFS post-development peak outflow and get that down to what the pre-development peak outflow was at around 60 CFS. And so by designing a basin of about 20 acres and an outlet structure, as you can see right here, we can control that outflow, and the summary results here for the HEC-HMS model with that detention basin show that exactly. A peak inflow of 140 CFS is controlled to a peak discharge of only about 60, which is right where the peak discharge was pre-development. This is further illustrated in this peak discharge overlay, which you can see the blue line represents the pre-development point of analysis peak discharge, where the orange line represents the detention basin outflow. And so the detention basin really is doing what we want it to. It's dampening the effects of a big storm and allowing for the storm sewers and other systems downstream from this point of analysis to handle only the peak discharge for which they were designed. Um, Overall, this was a good exercise in playing with HEC HMS and seeing how different land use types and land cover affects peak discharge and infiltration losses, and what kind of structures can be put in place to mitigate that. Um, I'm bummed I wasn't able to be in class with you all this year, but hey, if you see me walking around campus, hey, buy me lunch, and we can chat hydrology or whatever you want to chat about.